Pretty straightforward video today. We're going to be going over the top 10 best weapons for Warzone after the May 7th patch. I'm sure a lot of you guys have heard by now of all the weapon balancing changes, all the nerfs and buffs and all that happened yesterday, which really shook up the meta. So we're going to be going over the best weapons that you can use now. And I really think the meta's in a really good spot right now. There's a lot of weapons that are very viable. So we're going to be going over all the best ones, starting with the AMAX here. If you haven't seen the patch notes yet, I'll link it down in the description so you guys can check it out for yourself, see all the nerfs and everything. But the AMAX did get a nerf, but I do still think this is the best AR in the game right now, but it's not overpowered in comparison to the other ARs. So starting with the muzzle, we got monolithic suppressor, obviously. Then for the barrel, we're throwing on the XRK Zodiac. For your optic, you're going to use your optic of choice. A lot of people will either use the VLK, or you could also use the Corp Combat Hollow sight. Either or are going to be really good options. I prefer the VLK sight with it. And then for the ammunition, we're going to be running the 45 round mags. And then for the underbarrel, most people are going to be running the Commando foregrip, but this gun does have a lot of recoil. And if you're struggling to control the recoil, you could throw a Ranger foregrip on there. That's going to help with the vertical recoil a lot more. So if you are struggling with that recoil, you could opt for the Ranger foregrip, but it is going to be a little bit slower in terms of mobility. So I'm going to be opting for the Commando foregrip here. And there you go. That is the best AMAX you can currently run as of now, which I'm sure a lot of you guys knew how to set this thing up already, but we're just going to get the obvious out of the way first. Now keep in mind this top 10 isn't in any specific order, so it's not going from best to worst or worst to best or anything like that. But next up we have the Ram 7, which is a really good sniper support. It's even a really good primary, and it's always been really good, but with the nerfs that just happened, it makes the gun one of the best meta guns again. So starting with the muzzle, I mean, obviously muzzle is always going to be monolithic suppressor, but then for the barrel, we got a couple different options here. So now if you're running this thing as a sniper support class, I would recommend putting on the Forged Tackle clips. For the extra mobility, it's going to ADS a little faster, but if you're using this as a main AR, I would be using the FSS Ranger, which I'm going to throw on here because when I'm running the Ram 7, I'm normally using it as my primary AR. For your optic, it's going to be the same thing as the AMAX. You could either run the Corp Combat Hollow, which I mean, it might be a little better for a sniper support class because it's more close range, or you could throw a VLK optic on there, which is going to be a little bit better if you're using this as a primary AR, but you could still get away with using the Corp Combat Hollow sight if you're using this as your primary long range weapon. It's just going to be a little harder to see people at range with the Hollow, so that's why I'm going to put on the VLK since I'm using it as a main AR. For the underbarrel, we're going with Commando foregrip, and then for your ammunition, we're going with the 50 round mag. That's the only choice here anyways, and there you go. That is the best Ram 7 class setup right here. If you're using this thing as a main AR, like I said, if you're using it as a sniper support, I would change a couple of these attachments up. Next up, we have the KRIG 6, which we all know got buffed recently, and it is now one of the best long-range weapons in the game. So starting with the muzzle, we do have the agency suppressor. Then for the barrel, we're going to be throwing on the Ranger barrel, which is going to be giving us the most bullet velocity possible. For our optic, we're going to be throwing on either a 3x sight, or you could be throwing on the SUSAT multi-zoom. The SUSAT multi-zoom scope is like a variable zoom scope, but if you keep it on the 2x, the visual recoil with it is basically non-existent, but then again, it doesn't scope in as far, and it's going to be harder to see what you're aiming at longer ranges. So I'm going to be opting for the Axial Arms 3x scope here. For the underbarrel, we're going to be throwing on the Field Agent grip for the best recoil control, and then for our ammunition, we're going to go with the normal 60 round mag right here. And there you go. That is the best KRIG 6 setup. This gun is very fun to use, and I highly recommend it. And it makes me very happy that this gun is finally viable because this thing kind of sucked when the Cold War weapons first got integrated. Moving on to the next gun, which is the Stoner 63. We're going to be starting with the agency suppressor, as always with these guns. The barrel with this one is kind of weird. You're going to want to use the Task Force barrel, which as you can see, it does give a negative to your recoil control, but it is the only barrel that does give you that bullet velocity. So you do have to sacrifice some of your recoil in order to get that bullet velocity. Otherwise, the gun's just not going to be as viable at longer ranges. Then for the optic, we're going to be throwing on the Axial Arms 3x again. You could also use the SUSAT multi-zoom, like I said before, for the exact same reasons, but I'm going to be opting for the 3x scope here. For the ammunition, we're going to be throwing on the 120 round speed mag. You don't want to go any more than that, otherwise your ADS speed is just going to be way too slow. And then for the underbarrel, again, we are going with the Field Agent grip, and that is your best Stoner 63 class setup right there. This setup does have a decent bit of recoil, so if you're not a fan of the recoil on this gun, you could try out the BRUEN, which we're going to go over next. Personally, I prefer the BRUEN because it does have less recoil and it has a much quicker reload speed because you can throw a 60 round mag on there. So for the muzzle, again, going going with the monolithic suppressor. Then for our barrel, we're throwing on the XRK Summit 26.8. Now there's a couple different ways you could run it. So the way I run it is I'll throw a tack laser on there to get that extra ADS speed, and then I'll throw the VLK scope on there. I know some people do also like the Corp Combat Hollow Sight. I'm sure some of you have seen Nick Merckx use it this way, but I prefer the VLK optic. And then for our ammunition, we're going to be throwing the 60 round mag on there, which is going to make it reload really quick, as I'm sure you guys know. But if you do want even more recoil control, you could take off this tack laser and throw on the Commando foregrip underbarrel instead. If you do this, it is going to ADS a bit slower, but then again, you have even less recoil, which is really nice. So either way you set it up, this gun's going to be a beast. It's just a couple different options for you guys there. And if you guys were playing this game last year, you do know that the BRUEN used to be the meta, but it did get nerfed, but it is still a beast, and it is definitely one of the meta guns again. So I highly recommend trying it out again. It's really fun to use. On to the best sniper in the game, and personally my favorite weapon, the Kar98. Starting with the muzzle, again, we're going monolithic suppressor. For the barrel, we're doing the longest barrel, the 27.6 inch barrel. We're going to be throwing a tack laser on there, and then you got to throw on the sniper scope for the optic. For whatever reason, it doesn't come with the sniper scope. I guess that's because it's a marksman rifle. So the sniper scope does use an attachment, which kind of sucks, but it is what it is. And then for the stock, we have a couple options here. Now, I know a lot of people like to run this sport comb stock because it gives it the fastest ADS speed, but I personally prefer the precision comb stock because it gives the maximum aiming stability. And with this precision comb stock, you don't even need to hold your breath with it because your reticle doesn't even move. The aiming stability with it is just insane. So this is what I prefer here. But if you just want quicker ADS speed, you could throw on the sport comb stock, but I'm going to be opting for the precision comb. That is just how I prefer to run it. Either way, no matter which one of those attachments you put on, the Kar98 is just the best sniper in the game right now, especially if you like to play aggressive. I mean, you do have the HDR, but that's more so for long range sniping and holding positions. But the Kar98 is even good at long range sniping as well, and it is just a lot more fun to use. Moving on to the best secondaries in the game right now, we're going to be starting with the BULLFROG. And now there was a lot of nerfs to some of the best attachments with the SMGs in this game, and the BULLFROG also did get nerfed as well, but it's still a top tier SMG even after the nerfs. But the attachments might be a bit weird with it now. So starting with the muzzle, as always, we're going with the GRU suppressor here. And then for the barrels, this is where it's going to get a bit weird, because before we were using the Task Force barrel for the maximum amount of strafe speed, and I think the Task Force might still be the best attachment, mainly because it does give you strafe speed and it also does give you that bullet velocity and damage range. So we're going to be sticking with the Task Force barrel here, but the VDV reinforced could be a good option as well. Then we're going to be throwing a laser on here. We're going to be throwing on the GRU 5 milliwatt laser sight for the best hip fire accuracy possible. And then for the underbarrel, we're going to be throwing on the Spetsnaz grip here, which will kind of cancel out the negative recoil that we're getting here from the Task Force barrel. And then for the ammunition, we're going to be throwing on the 65 round mag. Before, we probably would have gone with no ammunition and thrown on a Raider stock. Well, on this gun is called the KGB skeletal stock, which is basically the same attachment, but these stocks got nerfed really hard, so I just don't see the point in using the stocks anymore. So for the BULLFROG, this is what I would run on it. I think this is the best class setup right now for it. And they did actually buff the damage range with the BULLFROG, so it is a decent option to use as a sniper support weapon as well. Next up, we have the LC10, which I was using this a lot yesterday and I was starting to fall in love with it, although I don't even have it leveled all the way up yet. But starting with the muzzle, we got the agency suppressor again. And for the barrel, we're going to want to be running the Task Force barrel, which I don't even have unlocked yet. So I was using the reinforced heavy, which is a good option as well if you don't have it leveled up. But normally you would want to be going with the Task Force barrel for the same reasons that we were putting it on the BULLFROG for. But obviously for now, I have to put the reinforced heavy on because I don't even have it unlocked yet. Then again, we're going to be throwing the 5 milliwatt laser on there for hip fire accuracy. And for the underbarrel, we're going to be going with the field agent grip again to kind of cancel out for the Task Force barrel, giving you negative recoil. And then for the ammunition, we're going to be throwing on the normal 55 round mag here. And again, before we probably would have ran the Raider stock, which again, I don't even have unlocked with this weapon yet, but the stocks just got nerfed so bad that I just don't even see the point in using them anymore. But the LC10 does have really good damage range. I think it has the best damage range out of all the SMGs, so it's going to be really good if you pair this with a Kar98. But these are the attachments I'd run here on the LC10, minus the reinforced heavy. Obviously we're throwing the Task Force barrel on there, but I can't put it on here for show right now because I don't have it unlocked, unfortunately. Next, we're going to the MP5s. Now we're starting with the Cold War MP5, but both MP5s are really good now, so we're going to kind of categorize them together, I guess. But starting with the barrel, again, we got the agency suppressor. Did I say barrel? I meant muzzle, but barrel, we have the reinforced heavy barrel here. We don't want to throw the Task Force barrel on this gun because this gun does have a lot of recoil, and throwing the task force barrel on there is just going to make it even harder to manage. So we don't want to do that. So we're going to go with the reinforced heavy barrel here. And then again, for the laser, we're going with the 5 milliwatt laser. For the underbarrel, we're doing the field agent grip. And then for our ammunition, we are going with the 50 round normal mag here. The fast mag is just going to hinder our ADS speed too much. So that's what we're going with here. And out of all the SMGs that I'm showing you guys today, the Cold War MP5 has the quickest time to kill, up to 10 meters. But then again, it does have a pretty good amount of recoil. So it is going to be a bit harder to use, but this thing just shreds through people when you're up close in buildings and stuff like that. With the Modern Warfare MP5, there's a couple different ways you could run it, but starting with the barrel here, we're throwing on the monolithic integral suppressor. I know some people might throw on the normal monolithic suppressor under the muzzle, but the integral suppressor does actually give you a ½ meter extra damage range. So I mean, might as well throw it on, even though it's not really a difference really at all, but I mean, might as well take that ½ meter of damage range if you can get it. Then for the laser, what you could do is you could either throw on the tac laser if you want really fast ADS speed, or if you want really good hip fire accuracy, you could throw on the 5 milliwatt laser. So either one here is going to be a really good choice. And if you do throw the tac laser on, your hip fire accuracy is still going to be really good, but with the 5 milliwatt laser, the hip fire accuracy is just crazy. So personally, I'm going to be going for the 5 milliwatt laser. And then for the underbarrel, we're going to be throwing on the Merc foregrip because that gives you the recoil control and it gives you even more hip fire accuracy. For the ammunition, we are going to throw on the 45 round mag, and then we are going to throw on sleight of hand for the perk. And this is the best Modern Warfare MP5 setup. All you got to do is choose between if you just want insanely good hip fire accuracy or if you want super fast ADS speed. So just pick your poison there. Just pick whatever is going to fit your playstyle better. And I'm really excited that the Modern Warfare MP5 is one of the best secondaries in the game again, because I just absolutely love this gun. And finally, we have our last gun on the list, which is the JAK 12 shotgun. It is the best shotgun in the game right now. If you thought the Street Sweeper was bad, well, you got to try this thing. This thing is way worse. But starting with the muzzle, we are going with the Forge Tac Marauder. And then for our barrel, we are going with the ZLR Torrent barrel here. We want the best possible damage range and tightest bullet spread possible when we're using a shotty. And then we're throwing on the 5 milliwatt laser because we want the best hip fire accuracy possible with the shotty. And then for the ammunition, we're going to be throwing on this 20 round drum mag here. And then for our perk, we're going to be going with sleight of hand. And this setup right here is just insane. I would recommend you try using it, but I don't want to recommend you use it because I don't want to run into some of you guys in the game using this thing because it is just that good, and dying to a full auto shotgun is just never fun. But if you do play on auto tac sprint, this thing is going to be very hard to use. So there is kind of that downside there. So that is a reason you don't see a lot of top players using it, is because most top players play on auto tac sprint, and this thing is going to be really hard to use on auto tac sprint. But if you don't play auto tac sprint, this gun is insane. But if you guys enjoyed this video, please consider dropping a like and subscribing if you're new. I'd really appreciate it. And just a reminder that I do stream a lot over on Twitch. Link is in the description. If I'm not working on a video or something, I'm usually live over there in the morning. So come say what's up in chat. And just another reminder that we are very close to 1,000 followers on Twitter. So if you use Twitter at all and you want to drop me a follow over there, I'd really appreciate that as well. Links are all in the description, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Here's the web. Peace.